viewers, a very warm welcome in the MOOCs of Energy Resources and Conversion Processes. I am Dr. Shweta Tripathi, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering, School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Today, in this module, we are going to discuss thermodynamics and heat energy. The learning outcomes of this module are the knowledge of the laws of thermodynamics, to understand the concept of temperature, to understand the thermodynamic properties, and at the end of this module, you will be able to apply the knowledge gained in solving the numerical problems of heat and thermodynamics. Now comes thermodynamics. What is thermodynamics? Generally, it is a science that deals with temperature, heat, and their relation to energy, radiation, work, and properties of matter. The energy can be of any forms we had already learnt in the previous module. It could be electrical energy, it could be mechanical energy, or chemical energy. We had learnt that mechanical energy could be in any form, either in potential energy or in the form of kinetic energy. Chemical energy, we had also discussed that it is the energy that is absorbed in the fuel. William Thomson coined the term thermodynamics in very early 1749. It is derived from two Greek words, thermis, thermis means heat, and dynamico. Dynamico means powerful. When we say word dynamic, what came in our mind? That something will be dynamically moving or something will be in motion. There will be movement, and for this movement we require energy. Thus, the thermodynamics means heat movement or flow of heat, because the energy comes from heat. Thermodynamics is the branch of physics which is concerned with the relationship between the forms of energy and heat. We can define thermodynamics as that branch of physics that deals with the heat and temperature and their relation to energy, work, radiation, and properties of matter. What are different energies, how temperature will be measured, how heat will be measured, what is work, and what are the different properties of matter, we are going to discuss today. Now, to be very specific, this thermodynamics actually explain how thermal energy is converted into another form of energy and how matter is affected by this process. Thermal energy is the energy that comes from heat, and this heat is generated by the movement of tiny particles within an object. The faster these particles move, more amount of heat will be generated. Now, what is thermodynamic process? What is this? What is we are calling as process, thermodynamic process? It is a passage of a thermodynamic system from an initial state to a final state of thermodynamic equilibrium. Now, what is thermodynamic equilibrium? So, to understand equilibrium, we have to discuss the zeroth law of thermodynamics. What are these laws? Actually, in thermodynamics, there are four laws. We are going to discuss zeroth law first. The zeroth law of thermodynamics defines the fundamental physical quantity like temperature. Generally, these laws of thermodynamics define the physical quantities like energy, temperature, entropy that characterize thermodynamic systems at thermal equilibrium. So, first, what comes? Thermal equilibrium. First, it is important to understand thermal equilibrium. What is thermal equilibrium? So, for thermal equilibrium, we have to discuss zeroth law of thermodynamics. All the law of thermodynamics represents how this quantity behave under various circumstances. Energy, any physical quantity, how it will behave at various circumstances. So let's first discuss thermal equilibrium, and for that let's discuss zeroth law of thermodynamics. Zeroth law of thermodynamics is the basic for the measurement of temperature. It states that two bodies which are in thermal equilibrium with a third body are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Let us say the temperature of A and B are equal, and the temperature of A and C are also equal. So what will happen? The temperature of A and B are equal, A and C are equal, so B and C are also in equilibrium. This is what zeroth law of thermodynamics says. Let us consider an example. We have two cups A and B, and both are having boiling water. When thermometer is placed in cup A, thermometer will also get warmed up by the water till it reaches 100 degrees centigrade. After 100 degrees centigrade, thermometer is not rising, so it means that thermometer has come to the equilibrium with the temperature of cup A. So when it reads 100 degrees centigrade, we say that thermometer and cup A are in equilibrium with each other. Now when we move the same thermometer to cup B, similar thermometer we have placed in cup B to read the temperature. Then it continues to read again 100 degrees centigrade. So what does it mean? That thermometer and cup B are in the thermal equilibrium, and it has the temperature is 100 degrees centigrade. So what does it mean? That the temperature of cup A and the temperature of cup B is equal. It means that the cup A and cup B are in equilibrium. So what does it state? When cup A is in thermal equilibrium with thermometer and cup B is in thermal equilibrium with thermometer, cup A and cup B are also in thermal equilibrium. This is what zeroth law states. And what is that we are measuring from the thermometer? It is temperature. So from here the concept of temperature came. So the zeroth law of thermodynamics enables us to use the thermometers, thermocouples, etc. to compare the temperature of any two objects that we want. So from here the concept of temperature started. Now the first law of thermodynamics. What is the first law of thermodynamics? We had discussed in our previous module also that energy cannot be created. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It can be transformed or changed from one form to another. So this first law of thermodynamics is basically known as the conservation of energy principle. Energy is always conserved. It is neither created nor destroyed. Sometimes this law seems abstract, but if we look at few examples of the first law of thermodynamics, we will get a clear picture. For example, when fan is rotating, if we see which energy is transforming into which energy, when you switch on the fan, electrical energy comes to the fan, and this electrical energy is then converted into the mechanical energy. So fans convert electrical energy to mechanical energy. Obviously there are some losses there. 100% of electrical energy is not going to convert into the mechanical energy. Some portion is only converting. So if we say that 80% of electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy, so 20% of the energy is wasted. Now when fan is rotating, when you are going to touch it, you will feel that it is heating. From where that heat is coming, it is also the form of energy. So this is what the transformation of energy is coming. But we are concentrating on mechanical energy. Why? Because it is the only useful portion of energy. It is the only energy that is converted into the work. So we are concentrating on not on the waste. We are concentrating on the result, what we are getting. Then plants convert the radiant energy of sunlight that is coming from the sun into chemical energy through photosynthesis and make their food. Then we eat plants and convert that chemical energy that we had gained from the plants while eating. We convert that chemical energy into kinetic energy when we are walking, when we swim, when we walk, even when we breathe, and even when I am moving my hand, I am consuming that energy. I am speaking, I am consuming that energy. So which form of the energy I had converted? I had converted chemical energy into the kinetic energy. Then comes the second law of thermodynamics. We have explored the zeroth law and knew about the temperature. From the temperature, heat came. Then we discussed the first law of thermodynamics, which says that heat and work and internal energy are in. If we talk about the flow system, Q is equal to W plus delta E. Whatever heat will be converted into useful work and some internal energy will be there. Then comes the second law of thermodynamics. What does it state? It says that energy in the form of heat only flows from regions of higher temperature to that of lower temperature. If we have lower things at lower temperature, we cannot fetch out energy from them. Energy will be only formed from the heat when it flows from the higher temperature to lower temperature. If we want to get energy from, take out or fetch out the energy from the lower temperature to higher temperature, we have to do some work. We have to do some work on that particular thing. Then only we will get energy. Many individuals take this statement lightly and for granted, but it has an extensive impact and consequence. This is why it costs money to run an air conditioner. We are cooling. The human body also obeys this second law of thermodynamics. Have you ever imagined that second law is there? Let's take an example. If we are in a crowded room, you imagine yourself to be in a small room which is full of people. You are very likely to feel warm and suffocated, and suddenly you will start sweating. What is this sweating? It is a mechanism that human body uses to cool itself. Here, the heat from our body is transferred to sweat. And as the sweat absorbs more and more heat from the body, it evaporates and transfers heat to the surrounding air, thereby and heating up the temperature of the room. This is why in a crowded place, we are feeling warmer and we start sweating. Then comes the third law of thermodynamics. This third law states that the entropy of a perfect crystal is zero when the temperature of the crystal is equal to absolute zero. What is entropy? Some people call it waste energy, because this is the energy that is unable to do anything. And since there is no heat energy at absolute zero, so there can be no waste energy. That's why third law states that entropy of a perfect crystal is zero, and when the temperature of the crystal is equal to absolute zero, it is zero. Let's discuss some examples of third law as well. Let us consider steam as an example to understand this third law of thermodynamics. As we know that steam is a gaseous state of water at higher temperatures. In this state, the molecules within it move freely, because we know that in gaseous state molecules are more free, they move more freely. So when a thing is having freedom to move, they will have higher entropy. More the randomness is, more will be the entropy. So if one decreases the temperature below 100 degrees centigrade, what will happen? The steam gets converted to water. Then what will happen? The movement of molecules will be restricted as compared to gas. The movement of molecules will be restricted in liquid state. So the entropy of water will be decreased. When we will further cool this water below 0 degrees centigrade, what will happen? It will convert into solid, it will be converted into ice. Then what will happen? In this state, the movement of molecules is further restricted, means the molecules are not moving anymore, it is even less than liquid state, and the entropy of that system will be reduced more. So as the temperature of the ice further reduces, the movement of the molecules in them are restricted further, and the entropy of the substance goes on decreasing. When the ice is cooled to absolute zero, ideally what will happen? The entropy should be zero, but in reality it is impossible to cool any substance to zero. Then comes the thermodynamic properties. What are these properties? These are actually the physical property of which is measurable and whose value describe the state of a physical system. Properties can be defined as the characteristic feature of a system by which it can be specified. Sometimes we use specific volume. What does it mean? It means the property is expressed on per mass basis. Similar property, if we will call it specific density is density per unit mass. So then these thermodynamic properties are classified as extensive property and intensive property. In intensive properties, as the name indicates, the properties do not depend upon the quantity of matter. For example, pressure, temperature, they don't have to do anything with mass. So these are intensive properties. In case of extensive properties, their values depend upon the mass of the system. For example, volume, energy and enthalpy. What is enthalpy? Pressure, temperature, these things you know well. Enthalpy and entropy are the new terms, though you have studied it in 10th standard, but let's revise it. Enthalpy is the measurement of energy in a thermodynamic system. The quantity of enthalpy is equal to total content of heat of that system. It is equivalent to the system's internal energy plus the product of volume and pressure. So mathematically, entropy is equal to E plus PV, and enthalpy is denoted by H. E is internal energy of that system, P and V are pressure and volume of that system. Now what is entropy? The entropy is a thermodynamic quantity whose value depends on the physical state or condition of that system. We can also say that it is a thermodynamic function used to measure the randomness or disorder of a system. For example, the entropy of a solid where the particles are not free to move is less than the entropy of a gas where the particles will fill the container. The example we had already discussed. Now comes the thermal energy. We had discussed laws of thermodynamics, and from the zeroth law we had defined the term temperature, and now we are going to discuss thermal energy. Temperature and pressure are related to energy. Both are intensive property and are related to energy contained in a substance. Actually, heat is a form of energy and temperature is a measure of its thermal effect. Don't confuse with heat and temperature. Heat is a form of energy and temperature is a measure of its thermal effects. Thermal effect of, if temperature is measured in degrees centigrade in Celsius scale generally, we use Fahrenheit and Kelvin also. When we use to measure temperature in Kelvin, it is absolute temperature. We may also recall that steam engines that were used earlier in railways, where the heat energy was used to rotate the flywheel of those engines. We make use of heat energy daily in diverse areas. We get electricity in our homes. Where does it comes from? Thermal power station. Then what is pressure? It is an indicator of stored energy. The steam at high pressure contains more energy than that at low pressure. Then comes the internal energy of the substance. What is internal energy of substance? It is thermal energy. So thermal energy is basically the internal energy of substance. The energy that is inherited in any substance is its thermal energy. For example, geothermal energy, it is also an example of thermal energy. Motion. What do you understand by motion? The movement of substances from one place to another and the energy associated with the motion. What are the examples? Wind energy, hydropower energy. From where we are taking energy? From the motion. We had also discussed in the previous module sound energy. It also comes from the movement of energy through substance in longitudinal waves. That is called sound waves. Then comes electrical energy. It is also from the movement of electrons. The example are electricity and lighting in our homes. These are electrical energy. Now if we talk about the heat or thermal energy, it is the only source which changes the internal energy of a body. We only observe or feel the heat by thermal contact. When heat flows from higher potential to lower potential, it always raises the temperature. As heat always transfers from body with higher potential towards the body with lower potential, if we want to flow heat from lower potential to higher potential, we have to do work against the nature. Both the bodies should be in thermal equilibrium. There must be a temperature difference between the two bodies to transfer heat. The transferring energy is called heat energy, and after transfer it becomes the internal energy of that system. So this way heat energy and internal energy are correlated. Now the temperature, we had already discussed that it is the measure of internal energy of a body. The specific heat we had discussed in our previous module also. Today we will discuss its mathematical formula. Specific heat is the amount of energy which we require to raise 1 degree centigrade temperature of a body of unit mass. What is mathematical formula? Q is equal to mc delta T. Q is amount of heat, m is mass of body, C is specific heat, L is latent heat, delta T is change in temperature, means final temperature minus initial temperature. Then comes the latent heat. Latent heat is that energy which is required by a body or substance when it changes its state in specific heat and latent heat. Two we have discussed. Specific heat is the amount of energy required to raise the 1 degree centigrade temperature of a body. Latent heat, which is required by a body or substance when it changes its state. That is, it goes from either solid to liquid or liquid to gas. So mathematical formula for this is Q is equal to m into L. M is mass and L is latent heat. Now let's discuss an example. Let's solve it numerically, that how many joule, and in terms of BTU also we will measure how many joule and BTU of heat energy is required to change 4.5 kg of ice at minus 15 degrees centigrade to steam at 121 degrees centigrade. So mass we are having 4.5 kg. M is equal to 4.5 kg. Temperature, initial temperature we are having minus 15 degrees centigrade. And final temperature we are going to have 121 degrees centigrade. So delta T will be calculated from minus 15 to 121 total. But we have to follow certain step by step. We have to take out heat generated or heat lost at every step. Then only we are going to solve this problem, because there are many thermodynamic processes involved in it. So let's first observe that where the water is changing its phase. State solid recipient, that is from ice to steam at 121 degrees centigrade. This will be final. First ice will be melted and liquid, then liquid will be converted into steam. So first what we have to do, let's calculate Q1, that is specific heat of ice. So what it will be? MC ice into delta T. And now ice is going to melt. So what will be the temperature difference? It will be from minus 15 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade. Up to 0 it will be ice, after 0 it will not be ice. So here stage is not changing, so we are going to take it minus 15 to 0. So M is 4.5, C of ice is 2060. So take it 2060. Then delta T minus 15 minus 0, it will be 0 minus 15, it will be 15. So it will come around 139050 joules, that is 139.05 kilojoule. Then we will see the heat that is spent in fusion process. So it will be given by ml. It will be latent heat. So 4.5 is M, and latent heat of fusion for this ice will be 334. So 4.5 into 334 is equal to 150300 joules, that is 150.3 kilojoules. Then comes the Q3. Third stage will be water. The heat transfer from the water. So it will be MC delta T. Mass is 4.5. Specific heat for water will be 4186. And then what will be the temperature? In which temperature range it will be water? Up to 0, from 0 to 100 degrees centigrade. After 100 it will be converted into steam. So 0 to 100 degrees centigrade. So 100 minus 0, so it is delta T is 100. So again it will come 1883.7 kilojoules. Then QL ml for steam, when water is converting into steam. So what will be 4.5, and latent heat for steam is 2260. So 4.5 into 2260, it will come near around 10,170 kilojoules. Then Q5 MC into delta T. Here C we will specific heat of the steam we will take, and delta T is what will be the range in which it will be steam, 100 to 121. So the difference in temperature is 21 degrees centigrade. 121 minus 100. So 4.5 into 1870 into 20. It will come around 176.7 kilojoules. Now to take an account of total heat transfer, you have to add all the heat that you had calculated. So let's add all the Q, then it will come around 13.8 into 10 to the power 6 joules. Now to convert these joules in BTU, what we have to do? We have to divide it by 1055 because 1 BTU is equal to 1055 joules. So in megajoule we have got 13.8 and in BTU we have got 13,149 BTU. Now let's see another numerical problem. A rapidly spinning paddle wheel raises the temperature of 20 ml of water from 21 degrees centigrade to 25 degrees centigrade. Now we have to calculate the work done in this thermodynamic process. We have to calculate the heat transfer and we will use specific heat of water here. Why? Because it is going, temperature is ranging from 21 to 25 degrees centigrade and we have already used C of water. What was it? It was 4200 joule per kg. So let's first find out the work done. As we know from the first law of thermodynamics that work done is equal to energy. So we have to find out heat energy. So how we will find out heat energy? Q is equal to mc delta T. Why? Because there is no the state is not changing, so we are not going to calculate latent heat. We will calculate only Q is equal to mc delta T. Q is quantity of water 20 ml, so mass is equal to 0.2 kg. Why mass is equal to 0.2 kg? 1 ml is equal to 1 gram, 200 ml is equal to 200 gram and 200 grams are equal to 0.2 kg. So at 4 degrees centigrade, difference between 25 and 21 is, so delta T is 4 degrees centigrade. Then C of water I had already told 4200 joule per kg for water. Then putting these values in the formula, 0.2 into 4200 into 4 and it will come 3.360 kilojoule. So what is the work done in this thermodynamic process? It is 3360 joules. Then what is the heat transfer in this process? The answer is there is no heat is transferred in this process. It is simply conversion of energy from one form to another, from which it is transformed from mechanical energy into heat energy. There is no heat transfer. We have discussed that chemical energy stored by molecules can be released as heat during chemical reactions. When a fuel like methane, cooking gas or coal burns in air, or we take food. This chemical energy may also be used to do mechanical work when a fuel burns in an engine or to provide electrical energy to a cell or battery. Thus, various forms of energy are interrelated and under certain conditions these may be transformed from one form to another. We discussed that the study of these energy transformations are the subject matter of thermodynamics. The laws of thermodynamics deal with the energy changes of macroscopic systems involving a large number of molecules rather than microscopic systems containing a few molecules. Thermodynamics is not concerned about how and at what rate these energy transformations are carried out, but is based on initial and final states of a system undergoing the change. Laws of thermodynamics apply only when a system is in equilibrium or move from one equilibrium state to another equilibrium state. Macroscopic properties like pressure and temperature do not change with time for a system in equilibrium state. Zeroth law is about the measurement of temperature. We have also discussed the second law and third law of thermodynamics. We have discussed that heat is the internal energy of the system, and we have discussed the meaning of specific heat and latent heat. Thank you very much.